Welcome TCG Addicts to a new deck profile and a new video today. Today we are going to be doing a deck profile on Black Broly, the promo leader. But before we get into that, if you are a new visitor or a new subscriber, go ahead and leave a like, comment, and a comment down below and turn those notifications on. If you are new to this channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button right down below here, and we'll go ahead and show you what we're all about. If you are new, I want to let you know this is a team channel. We do pretty much anything we want with the team. We have 23 members, and we all try to put in videos as well as input, as well as just anything that we like to do, and decks that will ultimately help you, whether it be locals or on the competitive scene. Today is going to be more along the lines of a fun deck, but we'll get to that in a minute. TCG Addicts, for everybody that needs to know, is run by mostly, like I said, 23 people. And if there's any videos that you like to see, go ahead and leave in the comments below, because we will put it up if we have anything that's along those lines, or if there's any deck builds that we can do for it. Or if you just want to see some live videos of us playing through games or us building decks, go ahead and leave that in the comments below as well. Now, as I said earlier, this is a team channel, so what we like to do is we like to do deck profiles of some of our fun decks every once in a while. This is going to be one of those days. This is going to be a fun deck. Since set 10 dropped, I went ahead and built this. And it's kind of been a little bit interesting with the running against the meta deck so far. And that's what we're going to look into, is the Mono Black Broly and how it does against meta. So, that being said, with set 10's drop about a week or two ago, and as well as the anniversary 2020 coming up, we are going to be doing more deck profiles. We might go ahead and do some deck profiles over Untapped and DBS decks, just for the simple fact that we don't have all the cards in place, as well as the simple fact that those cards have not been released yet. But we'll at least give you some idea of where the meta might be heading, as well as just kind of some ideas that some of us have had during their time in quarantine. Now, with that being said, let's dive into this deck profile. This deck profile is Mono Black Broly, or I should say the leader is Mono Black Broly. This is a black-green deck using the Mono Black Broly leader card. This is a promo card, and his auto is, when this card attacks leader card, you may choose one card in your life, add it to place it in your drop area. If you do so, place 3 cards from the top of your deck in your drop area. Then your opponent chooses one card in their hand and place it in the drop area. So basically a nice little control card. Most of the time, most people will seem that as kind of counterintuitive, but if any of you ran into the Vegeks decks or anything along those lines, you'll see that that is actually quite nice. Because the Vegeks deck, basically the entire core engine is, if it's put into the drop area because of a leader card, it's going to be coming out. So Broly also, suffice to say, is a Saiyan, Black Saiyan, so it will actually help a lot of the Vegeks run. I'm telling you right now, though, this deck does not have the entire Vegeks run. It only runs one card, I believe, out of the entire Vegeks core engine, and that's the Gotenks Unison card. But other than that, this deck is nowhere close to Vegeks. Awaken for less life, draw 2 cards, flip it over. And then we look at the Broly's backside. Now the backside is where this deck really comes to life, where this deck actually kind of shines through, and where I need to be, at least when I'm running this deck. Now for his backside, when a card attacks, draw a card, then you may choose one of your non-token, non-black battle cards, place in your drop area. If you do so, your opponent chooses one card in their hand and place it in their drop area. I'm going to show you why that auto is very key to this entire deck. Or I should say at least one chain of this deck. This deck runs 3 separate chains. One of the chains is made off of this auto specifically. And I'll tell you right now, it becomes kind of stupid. And with how much you actually draw, it becomes very, very much draw power. It's, you know, Broly in general, if you've ever played Broly, is a very much hand control. It does board control, don't get me wrong. But it is very much hand control. OG Broly, even the red-green Brolys I've noticed have done quite a bit of hand control. This is no different. This is going to be a lot of hand control. And I'll show you that when we get into the rest of the deck profile. Now, the only other ability that Broly has is his Activate Main once per turn. You choose a card in your hand, you place it in your drop area, and you choose one of your opponent's battle cards and KO it. So if you have like a pesky barrier, or excuse me, a pesky card that does not have barrier, then you go ahead and use Broly's Activate Main, pitch a card, and then you go ahead and basically you're going to KO anything that's on their board. So think of it this way, Black Smoke Dragon does not have barrier. this Broly leader is going to take care of Black Smoke Dragon. All you do is pitch a card, and there goes Black Smoke Dragon. Any of their big hitters that do not have barrier, this Broly is going to deal with by just pitching one simple card. And a lot of times, you're getting those cards back. It's not hard to get these cards back and rotate these cards through your hand, as well as just how you want to cycle your deck. You just got to know what you're wanting to cycle out. But that's our Broly leader. We're going to go ahead and get into the deck profile. As usual, we're going to go ahead and start with counterattacks, counters in general, as well as support cards. And then we'll get into the main chains of the deck. So, first counter is going to be Power Burst. Anybody knows if you're running black, you're running Power Burst. That is the counter of counters. If you have Sparkling 5, you play it for free by taking a life. When you play Power Burst, obviously you negate the attack, but on top of that, you get a 1-drop battle card back from your drop area or warp, and you add it to your hand. Hence the reason the second counter we run, 4 of, which is Son Goku. So, Son Goku, counterattack, boom. I've counted their attack. Use Power Burst, counterattack again. I get Son Goku back to hand. So effectively, I have 12 counters in between 8 cards. That is where we're wanting to look at, and that's why we use Power Burst, Son Goku in the mixture. Now, there will be other decks that Power Burst will use other means to get other cards out, like say Son Goku. The Adventure Begins. And the Adventure Begins will get, Powerball or 4-star Dragon Balls out, so on and so forth. Along those lines, that's why most of the time you'll see Power Burst in almost every black deck, is because it's made to get cards out that are 1-drops that can be replayed quickly. Hence the reason for this deck we have Son Goku making an entrance. So that's those are the counterattacks. The only counterplay I run in this deck is 2 of, which is Super Kamehameha. I've noticed that Super Kamehameha can come in clutch in very key instances, mainly because it's at a 4 or less life. So at late game, when someone wants to start running their chain again, say you've interrupted their chain, Super Kamehameha would deal with that. And it's going to counter a battle card that comes in that's 3 or less, and then you go ahead and send it to their warp. I'll tell you right now, you cannot use the permanent of Super Kamehameha, because Super Kamehameha is permanent, which gets it played for free by taking a life, is you have to have mono black energy. This deck does not run mono black energy, I'll tell you that now. But his counterplay is still very effective, but because it's only effective for 3 or less cards, the 3-drop or less cards, I only run 2 of for this deck, and it's worked relatively well for me. I've noticed that in certain clutch times, I'll use it, and other times I don't need it. It becomes charge bait, and that's kind of where we go from there. If you think you can run more than that, that's perfectly fine. It's kind of player preference at this point. If you notice any of my normal deck profiles, I'm more of the counter-attack stage than the counter-play stage. So I kind of lean towards counter-attacks. Hence the reason I run 8 of those versus 2 counter-plays. Alright, let's go ahead and get into the support, though. So first is FDC, Further Destruction Champa. I run 2 of. Pretty much any deck you're going to see that has any form of hitters in any form or fashion is going to run FDCs. I run 2 of mainly because I only need to see this late game. I don't need to see this very early, and I will see it. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. I go through so much of my deck, and I draw so much. I see FDC at least once, if not both times. It's fine to run 2 of. I can recommend, if anything, go ahead and put a 3rd of in here of FDCs, but honestly, you don't need to go much more than 3. I don't even really probably see too many decks that run more than 3 FDCs in general. Most of the time it's 2 or 3s. This deck's no exception, so 2 FDCs. Alright, super combos. Master Roshi. Very simple, right? For a black deck, Master Roshi, it's going to be Bibbidi for the most part for your mono black decks. Because this is not mono black, but it has a black leader card, Master Roshi comes into effect. And pretty much your basic combo, 4 or less life, draw a card, plus 10k. So ultimately, we're still looking at normal base super combos for any black leaders. If you want to go the Trunks super combo that has a Sparkling 7, that's perfectly fine. You will have probably 7 in your drop area with no issues with this deck because of Broly himself. So the Temporal Distortion Trunks or Master Roshi will be your 2 best bets to run super combos, so that's ultimately your choice on how you want to do this. I go with Master Roshi. Alright, for the Unison, as I said earlier, it's Gotenks. Mainly because this is going to be a free play off Broly, if anything, because if I do pitch this due to Broly's effect coming off the top of the deck, I can play him for free, and go ahead and start using abilities, get plus 10Ks, getting certain cards in my drop area like Green Beerus or anything along those lines that I need my drop area that I can cycle or use other abilities from. That's what Gotenks is for. And ultimately his -4 is pretty nice. Gets 20k power and dual attack for the turn. Then I gave him double strike with FDC. Awesome. I got a 25k dual attack double striker at least once, if not twice. Very good card, very easy to get up to, and it's very easy to get up to 4 with no issues. Or I should say 5, because you want him ultimately living once you -4 him. But a free play. That is also the big key, is Gotenks is a free play with Broly, because if he's milled from the top of the deck to the drop area, and if you have a Black Saiyan, which Broly is, when you have that Black Saiyan, he plays free. Then you can pitch, and you can put more Gotenks underneath him, give him more pluses, and then go ahead and +2 him or -4 him, and use his abilities. So ultimately, we're looking at a free card. You can't beat free. You just can't. Alright, we're going to go into now the first chain of the deck, which probably some of you might find interesting and kind of funny. It's going to be Skillless, Super Saiyan, Son Goku, 4 of. And the reason we run 4 of those is because of the Piccolos. We run 4 Piccolo Special Beam Cannons. Now the reason we run these Super Saiyan Gokus is, 1, it's a 2-drop 20k beater. And you can give it FDC, Further Destruction Champa. We can give it 30k Double Strike. Pretty good for a 2-drop. The other reason is because if you have this on the field and Special Beam Cannon is not on the field, you can play Special Beam Cannon for free. Yeah, so it's permanent. If you have a green Son Goku with 20k power in your battle area, and Special Beam Cannon is in play in your battle area, you can play this card in your hand without paying its energy cost. Now, the other reason we have this, so 20k beat stick, right? 20k beat stick for free. His activate main, though, is you choose a Son Goku, 20k more battle power in your battle area, place in the drop area, and you choose one of his abilities down here, which is you can choose opponent's battle card with an energy cost of 2 or less, ignoring barrier, KO it. If you KO a card, your opponent chooses 2 cards in their hand and place it in their drop area. So early game, so turn 2, pop this out, swing, awesome, cool. Play Special Beam Cannon for free. Activate main, pop. Go ahead and pop what they've had on the field. That's going to probably start a lot of chains. Once you popped it, they now have to they have to pitch 2 cards. The secondary ability is you just choose one of their battle cards and KO it. So first ability, 2 or less, ignoring barrier, KO. They pitch 2 cards. Second ability, KO anything on the board. That does not ignore barrier. So you kind of have to take it. Is it going to be early game board control, hand control? Or is it going to be late game board control, but you have to worry about barriers? That's kind of where you want to go from there. So, ignoring barrier, 20k beat stick, and another 20k beat stick for free. So that's the first chain. Nice, simple, easy to go. It's basically for quick hit strikes, as well as simple board control. Now the second chain, which is actually the chain that I built this deck around completely, and what the deck started with, is 4 Frieza Army Healing Pod, 4 Overflowing Bio Warrior Army, and then 4 Beerus. Now, if you haven't seen this, if you haven't seen Frieza, basically Green Frieza, if you have not seen it, what Frieza Pod does, Frieza Army Healing Pod does, is ultimately if you play a green card from the drop area, you can draw a card. Overflowing Bio Warrior states that if he would be removed from the battle area, so if it's removed from the battle area, your leader card is Broly, you can pitch a card and replay this card. So you pitch a card, replay Frieza's Army Healing Pod, now triggers. So like I said earlier, that awakened side of Broly, his auto, I pitch Overflowing Bio Warrior Army, pitch a card, replay it. Frieza Army Healing Pod triggers. I draw a card off of Army Healing Pod, and I draw a card off of Broly's auto. Now the card you usually pitch, Beerus. The reason being is if Beerus is pitched due to a battle card skill, he plays for free if he doesn't have one on the board. Battle card skill, pitching this, I get it for free. So free play, draw. You can see where the hand advantage really comes into play. On top of that, Beerus's Activate Main from drop area to warp, which is KOing a 3 or less battle card on your opponent's side. That's just too good to pass up. I mean, if you're ultimately saying, I can play Beerus for free, I can pitch another Beerus, get him in my drop area, tap 1 green, send it to my warp, and then board control him. Again, just very broken, very easy to use, and again, another nice board state control. Something that you really can't get rid of, and something that's just very easy to use. So that is the second chain. That is the main chain of the deck that I like to use, because this gives me hand advantage as well as board state control. Now, the next chain is actually going to be the hitting chain, which is going to be quite humorous for some of you that run the Ribriannes, which is the 2-drop Brienne des Chateaux, which evolves into the 5-drop Brienne des Chateaux, which then evolves into the 7-drop Brienne des Chateaux. So ultimately, you play the 2-drop. Auto, when you play this card, look at top 7 and you get a Maiden Squadron. So you look for your 5-drop. You evolve for 3 into your 5-drop. And when you play this card, you choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards, when a card evolves, you choose one of your opponent's battle cards and KO it. And then when this card attacks, if Kankutsu and Rosie are in play, obviously, you see this is not a Maiden Squadron deck, so you're not going to use the secondary auto of this 5-drop. You're going to use that primary auto, which is going to be board control. So evolve 2 to 5 for 3, and then 5 to 7 for 1. And then this one is when you play this card evolve, and you place it on top of Ribrianne, you switch it to active. So evolve, swing, 25k, which can become Further Destruction Chomped, 35k Double Strike. Tap 1, evolve into active mode for 1 green. And then when you attack, you choose 2 cards in your opponent's hand and you place in their drop area. So ultimately, I swung for 25k. Maybe Further Destruction Chomped it, so 35k double. Evolve for 1, bring it back to active. Swing for 30k Double Strike. And then secondary auto triggers. When it swings, you pitch 2 cards. Hand control like crazy. Works very well with the Broly card. And it does well with just that nice hitting every once in a while. So those are your main hitters of the deck. Nice, easy chain to get off. Very simple. Turn 3. I usually like to do turn 3 because I'm trying to get Overflowing Biowarmer out to turn 2. So ultimately, that's going to be a turn 3 run or a turn 4 run, depending on how I want to do it. Now, the final 3 in this deck is Kami's Power Piccolo. Simple enough. It has Bond 2 with any battle card. Bond 2 has Barrier, Double Strike, and I can activate main and I can make you KO a card. So no Barrier, KO card just for having Bond 2 out. Easy 20k Double Strike, nice easy turn 4. And then of course Black Smoke Dragon, because I'm going to have that many cards in my drop area from Broly's abilities, from cycling cards, from drawing abilities, from trying to put cards in my drop area. That Black Smoke Dragon becomes very effective. It becomes a 5-drop. Everybody knows Black Smoke Dragon is just the ultimate control. I control your hand, I control your board, I control your deck. No matter what, this is going to be controlling everything on the game state. And I play that, that's going to be my win condition. I'm going to win. I'm going to either wipe your board, I'm going to rip your hand apart, or I'm going to make you mill. I'm going to rip your board apart some more. I'm going to rip your hand apart some more. And then I'm going to swing. Very hard to get rid of. Put some Master Roshis on there, draw some more. And there you go. And that is it. That is Broly, guys. That is a very simple, that is a budget-friendly, other than obviously Black Smoke Dragon. But, I mean, you could use negative Dragon Balls there. Board clear for free, because you're going to have 7 or more. So you can have a free negative Dragon Balls in deck with no issues whatsoever. Play it, boom, you've cleared their board state. And then you can start this chain right back over with no problems whatsoever. Your Frieza's Army Healing Pod's going to stay. You're only clearing the battle area of battle cards with negative Dragon Balls, so you can go with the budget option on the SCR side, or you can run Black Smoke Dragon. It just gives the optimal control of what's happening on the board, what's happening in their hand, what's happening on their deck. So that is this deck profile. As you see, very much hand control, very much a board control. It just gives to the roots of Broly himself, being from the OG Green Broly. Just paying that homage to it. Very fun to play, very simple to build, very cheap, quick and easy. Most of those cards, if you've been collecting since set 1, you have pretty much every single one of these cards. Go Tanks you can get in the starter sets. The only one that's not budging on this whole deck is probably the Black Smoke Dragon. But ultimately, very simple deck, very fun to play. And if you guys have any comments about it, go ahead and leave it down below. If you may see a little tweak that you could do with it, or you would want to do with it, please share that with us. We would like to see what you would do with this black green Broly. If you would see something different or a different route you would go with Broly, please let us know, because we have a lot of Broly players on our team. We love Broly. He is just something we love to have fun with. As you saw, fun deck. Probably could win you a locals. I don't think it's going to come out and win just a straight up big event. It's probably not going to win you regionals. It's probably not going to go to nationals. But at the same time, you never know. You could be playing somebody and you're a better player. But that's Black Broly, guys. Like I said earlier, you have any questions, comments, concerns, leave that down below. And leave us a like, comment, subscribe, and turn those notifications on. Go ahead and we will see you next time. Keep staying addicted to DBS and TCG. And be safe out there. Thank you.